This YouTube ad-free video is sponsored by SimpliSafe. There's no safe like SimpliSafe.
The longest government shutdown in U.S. history is finally over. The pain will linger, and the next round of this could be at the end of January.
Everything from milk to butter to bread prices remains inflated, on average 20% across the board since 2019.
On the heels of these, two X-class flare-driven CMEs heading for Earth expected to impact within 12 to 18 hours, yet another X-class solar flare, a bigger one, X5, and a Titanic CME event has erupted.
In this video, I'm going to cover the next government shutdown, which may occur in just 77 days, and what that means to you. The rising cost of living that we're all experiencing, even when the official narrative sounds more upbeat, in this week's severe solar storm. These stories may seem unrelated, but each reveals how fragile our systems have become and why maintaining steady preparedness at home is crucial. We're going to break everything down calmly so you can take clear, simple steps to strengthen your resilience. We'll also have another great giveaway and announce the winner of last week's giveaway, so let's jump in. If you're new to this channel, my name is Chris, and on this channel we discuss emergency preparedness, aka prepping. Every week we examine the pressures building up around us, and I'll provide you with the practical solutions that you can implement today so that you can prepare before disruptions reach your home. We do this because preparedness brings confidence, clarity, and peace of mind, especially when the systems that we rely on become unstable. And because being prepared is the only real way to become independent, we're starting things off with something that actually strengthens your resilience. A quick heads up about our Black Friday offer. If you haven't joined the newsletter yet, now's the time. The link is below. We'll share our Black Friday and Cyber Monday deals here on the channel during Thanksgiving week, but newsletter subscribers are going to be the first to get access to our Preppers Roadmap course at a steep, limited time discount. Once Cyber Monday wraps up, the course doors close for good, so if you've been thinking about it, be sure to check out the link below. All right, so let's get started with the story that affects the greatest number of people. Open again. So let's start with what is sort of the good news. The federal government has reopened after a 43-day shutdown that began on October 1st, and this was the longest shutdown in the nation's history. It surpassed even the 35-day shutdown during the 2018 and 2019 period under the same administration. Millions of Americans were affected. Federal workers missed paychecks, SNAP benefits were delayed or reduced, flights were canceled, workers were furloughed, services and information from multiple agencies, from the Bureau of Labor Statistics to NASA, slowed or stopped altogether. And the Senate finally passed a funding bill. This moved the bill to the House of Representatives, which reconvened for the first time in nearly 2 months. And after several procedural steps, debate, and a final vote, the House passed the bill. The president signaled support and signed the measure to reopen the government. It's business as usual in Washington again as the doors open again. But two things are very clear. Very little was truly solved by this deal, and shutting down the government is becoming far too normal. Okay, so here's the bad news. While reopening the government ends the immediate disruption, this is not a long-term fix. Matter of fact, we only have a few more months until this is very likely to happen again. It's just kicking the can once again down the road and closer to the landmine. The bill only funds the government until January 30th. That gives us 77 days from the release of this video, not counting today, until the next possible shutdown. In between now and then is another political flashpoint. And as part of the deal, Senate leaders agreed to hold a vote by mid-December on whether to extend Affordable Care Act tax credits. These credits help millions of Americans afford their health insurance, and according to multiple lawmakers and analysts, the vote is expected to fail. And additional provisions are already being attached that make a failed vote even more likely before mid-December. So when it does fail, the stage will be set for the next confrontation when funding expires in late January. There is a second partial reason the shutdown ended when it did. Holiday travel was about to begin, and the country was approaching one of the busiest travel weeks of the year. Airlines were warning of significant delays, and the longer the shutdown continued, the more likely it was that travelers would be stranded at airports or face system-wide disruptions. Lawmakers did not want to deal with those optics and that level of public pressure. Once holiday travel became a larger factor, compromise began to move. In late January, that pressure will not exist. Travel numbers are low. That means the next shutdown window could be more challenging to resolve. Now, this shutdown caused real hardship for millions of people. More than 42 million Americans on SNAP benefits face uncertainty. and this represents approximately 16.3% of adult population in the United States. Some states were able to mitigate the impact by administering funds differently. Others experienced more severe disruptions, and about 1.4 million federal workers missed full paychecks. By law, they must receive back pay as soon as possible. The government cannot delay it until the next regular pay cycle. But catching up on payroll, it does take time, and families must bridge that gap on their own. Add to this that the government shutdown cost the United States an estimated $55 billion in lost output for the fourth quarter, and the economy will dip, resulting in those late paychecks not going as far as they would have if everything were humming along. Now, there's also the problem of missing economic data. The Bureau of Labor Statistics could not produce key reports during the shutdown. The October job report never came out. The November report is delayed, and the inflation report that was scheduled for release this week is delayed. The White House has indicated that the October jobs report may never be released, which leaves a permanent hole in the economic record. Policymakers, businesses, investors, and households are now missing key indicators. Clarity is reduced at a time when clarity is needed the most. Think of it like driving a car on a treacherous road at night, where the headlights get dimmer and dimmer. When the people steering policy cannot see clearly, the rest of us feel every correction and overcorrection in our wallets. Now, during the shutdown, lawmakers also clashed over provisions tucked into the bill. It wasn't exactly a clean funding bill. Some of these provisions pertain to legal protections for senators regarding seized phone records, enabling them to sue the government for up to $500,000 per incident if their phone records were seized or accessed by the government without being notified. Other provisions were tied to healthcare, security funding, and other political concerns. And both parties blamed each other for the shutdown, both parties claiming the other was being unreasonable, yet both parties voted to move this bill forward as soon as holiday travel became a strain. Shutdowns have become a recurring feature of modern politics. There have been 4 since 2013. It doesn't matter which party controls Congress or the White House, shutdowns continue to be used as leverage. And when something becomes a pattern, you prepare for it. If a big storm hits your home every other year, you prepare for it, right? And this is where we are now. Shutdowns are not rare anymore. They impact us, as we'll continue to discuss in just a moment. Thanks to SimpliSafe for sponsoring this YouTube ad-free video. A while back, someone came onto my property late at night while I was at home. And as you can see from the footage, he was peeking into a window until the SimpliSafe camera lit him up, caught him on video, and he bolted. That clip went straight to my phone through the SimpliSafe app. Within minutes, I alerted my neighbors and sent it to our local sheriff. Turns out others had seen him in the area that same week. No one was hurt, but it really drove home that protecting your home and your family is your responsibility. That's why I use SimpliSafe's award-winning home security system. I wanted a system I could install myself, no contracts, no hassles. The SimpliSafe base connects everything together, from the cameras to the sensors. I set up cameras both outside and in, added entry sensors on the doors and windows, and put up their window decals to make it clear this property is protected. The siren is loud enough to wake up the whole block. I asked my neighbors, and since installing it, the system's been rock solid. They've added new tech like Active Guard outdoor protection, which lets SimpliSafe's agents see and speak to intruders in real time, triggering alarms, lights, or even calling police if needed. It's proactive protection that can stop crime before it happens, and with 24/7 professional monitoring for about $1 a day, no contracts, and no hidden fees, it just makes sense, especially this time of year when people travel and homes are filled with gifts. Right now, you can save up to 60% on a new SimpliSafe system and get your first month free. Visit simplisafe.com/cityprepping or scan the QR code on the side of the screen to customize yours. There's no safe like SimpliSafe. What does this mean to us? We have roughly 77 days before the next potential shutdown, which would officially begin on February the 1st. Now, this is a gift in terms of preparation. Most disruptions, they don't give you a countdown. You now have time to stock food, fill prescriptions, stabilize your finances, and prepare for delays in benefits or pay. If a shutdown happens, you will be ready. If it does not, nothing is wasted. The food will be used, the water will be used, the savings will help you during the next emergency, whether it is a medical issue, a storm, or an unexpected job loss. People come to preparedness from different backgrounds. Some learn from older generations who knew what it meant to go without. Others have learned from hardship, unemployment, or financial setbacks. And others have come to preparedness after witnessing or surviving disasters. These paths, they all lead to the same principle. Stability at your home is your responsibility. Preparedness gives you margin and confidence. And in this case, we can see the storm is coming in the form of another likely shutdown. If not in 77 days, then perhaps 70 days after that, or 70 days more after that. Instead of this last one being the longest in history, maybe the next one will be even longer still. Think of all the ways you may have worried with this last one. Job security, prescriptions, medical care, food security, travel, and hundreds of other stress points. Now is the time to prep for those things that may fall apart. Build margin now. A storm that isn't going to hit until 77 days from now, like I said, that's a gift of time to prepare. You can't claim you weren't caught off guard. So what do you think? Are we just heading into another shutdown? Does this longest lasting ever shutdown impact you? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Rising cost. The cost of rising continues to climb across the country. Housing, food, fuel, and everyday essentials, they all cost more than they did a year ago. This is not one isolated problem. It's a collection of rising pressures hitting families at the same time. And while politicians and stock market gurus assure us that everything is fine, even the prices are down, the reality at the checkout line, the gas pump, or when you open that utility bill tells a very different story. Housing remains one of the most significant challenges. Mortgage rates are higher, many first-time buyers are priced out, the average first-time home buyer is now older than at any point in recent history, and developers and lenders have floated ideas like 50-year mortgages, which you may have recently heard about in the mainstream media cycle. And while these lower the monthly payment, they also create new risk. It can take decades before a homeowner builds meaningful equity. Many modern homes have an expected lifespan of about between 40 and 60 years, and that's with sometimes expensive upkeep and maintenance, including plumbing, roofs, and more. That means someone could potentially spend half a century paying for a structure that may not remain in good condition for much longer. Now, in this scenario, the bank becomes your landlord for the first 20 years because you're not building any equity. You would probably be better off just renting. Food prices are rising as well. Grocery prices are forecasted to increase around 2.5% this year. Restaurant prices are rising closer to 4%. Eggs, beef, pork, and chicken have seen major increases. And that holiday ham or roast may give you sticker shock this year. Sweets and packaged foods are also trending upward. Produce varies widely depending on the region. Gas prices remain volatile, and these rising costs are forcing families into hard choices. This is not politics. This is a reality that we see every time that we swipe a credit card at the checkout line. Wages in the United States have shown mixed performance relative to inflation over the last 2 decades. Surveys show that almost half of Americans worry about job stability or expect the job market to worsen. Even when inflation shows, it does not mean prices fall. It only means that they rise more slowly. Essentials, they continue to take up a larger share of household income, and families feel that strain every day. The shutdown made this even harder because it removed the very data that businesses and consumers rely on to make decisions. Pricing across the economy is based on reports about inflation, jobs, and spending. And with those reports delayed or missing, companies are going to guess, and consumers will hold on to every dollar. That creates speculative pricing, cautious spending, and a chilling effect on the holiday season. And when the real numbers finally arrive, they may reflect an even more stressed economy. What does this mean to us? When you zoom in from the big numbers to your own kitchen table, here's what that really means. Remember that car analogy from earlier that related to policymakers? Well, that's even more immediate for you and me and our households. It's a lot like driving a car at night on a narrow, winding road. The headlights, they grow dimmer. The distance you can see shortens. The cliffs on both sides, they remain steep, but life does not slow down. Millions of households are navigating rising costs with less visibility than usual. They still have to keep moving, even when the path ahead is harder to see. And preparedness helps households navigate this environment. When you build a food reserve, you protect yourself from future price increases. And when you store water and essential supplies, you reduce the number of things that you need to buy in emergencies when prices may spike further. When you set aside savings, you create a cushion that makes unexpected expenses manageable. Preparedness, it really provides stability even when the wider economic landscape feels unstable. And if there ever was an incredibly practical and most realistic reason to prep your core essentials, this would probably be it. I've long said on this channel that prepping is a hedge against inflation, but it's really becoming a determinant of whether you just get by luckily or you survive, even thrive with intention. Every prep you put into place today, it really carries you through a bad day in the future. It really is that simple. If you've ever needed that final nudge to get your preps to carry you through a long period of rough living, just look at the affordability crisis that we're living through right now. What about you? Are you feeling the higher prices and sticker shock, or are you not seeing it? Let us know what's happening in your area by leaving a comment for everyone below this video. Solar surge. Finally, it may have been blowing up in your media that the Earth experienced a rather sudden and large solar storm this week. On November 12th, Earth was struck by a severe G4 class solar storm, and this is one level below the most extreme category of G5. Now, the storm was triggered by a solar flare that erupted on November 11th, and that flare launched a large coronal mass injection towards Earth. It also overtook earlier solar materials in space. And when fast-moving solar particles collide with slower particles, they can merge into what scientists call a cannibal storm. Now, this increases the impact when it reaches Earth. NOAA confirmed G-force storm levels early on Wednesday morning, and the European Space Agency reported similar findings. The UK raised its geomagnetic alert to the highest level and recorded the strongest ground-level geoelectric field readings since it began tracking such measurements in 2012. Now, the storm caused disruptions in radio communication, reduced GPS accuracy, and created challenges for satellite operators. Increased drag in low Earth orbit can shift satellite paths, and sensors can malfunction. Some satellites enter safe mode to protect themselves. NASA and Blue Origin delayed a Mars-related launch because of the heightened solar activity. Auroras were seen visibly far south, including areas of Middle America that rarely even see them. And events like this are reminders that natural forces act on their own schedule. Solar storms, they don't pause for elections, they don't wait for government budgets to pass, and they don't care about your political disagreements or your stances on the issues of the day. They just simply happen. And you may hear references to the Carrington event of 1859. That was the strongest solar storm on record to date. Telegraph lines sparked, operators were shocked, some equipment ignited. If a storm of that scale hit today, it would produce more widespread effects because our grid and communication systems are much more interconnected. But I'm not suggesting you prepare for a Carrington level event. The probability of that scale of storm is low. Some estimates put the chance of a Carrington level storm in this solar cycle as low as a few percent, and others as high as around 12%. Even at the high end, that remains a low probability event. What does this mean to us? There's a lesson to be learned from this unexpected G-force solar storm. That is that these natural disasters don't wait until we put our politics aside, open our governments, or learn to get along. They're going to come, and they're going to always be somewhat unpredictable, with very little warning sometimes, but that doesn't mean that we can't prepare for them. Preparing for everyday disasters also prepares you for larger ones. Prepare for the realistic, and you'll be ready for the outlier events as well. If you prepare for a local power outage, you are preparing for any type of grid disruption. If you prepare for winter storms, wildfires, hurricanes, or earthquakes, you are preparing for the ripple effects these events can create. Preparedness works on all levels because the fundamentals remain the same. Food, water, communication, lighting, power, and community support are the pillars of resilience. Fortunately for our city prepping community members, we're launching our comms course right now. Communication and electrical networks could be the two most acceptable infrastructure components when a solar storm strikes. Our timely new comms course inside the city prepping community teaches communication methods from simple to advanced. And that's why we built this course for our members around simplistic, realistic tools that you can put into place now, long before you ever see an aurora over your house. After a storm or grid failure, communication is often the first thing that people lose and the hardest thing to rebuild. And with the right tools and knowledge, you can stay connected even when the systems around you struggle. If you'd like to learn more about that community and taking your prepping seriously, I'll include a link in the comments and description section below. So what do you think? How probable is a large-scale natural disaster in your area? How are you preparing for that? Let us know in the comments below. Giveaway. This week's winner is going to receive rechargeable emergency light bulbs, perfect for building your preps seamlessly into your life. You'll never have to scramble in the dark for a flashlight again. All you have to do to participate in the giveaway is just simply comment on the video, give it a thumbs up, and complete the form linked in the description section below. Giving the video a thumbs up helps to spread the prepping message even further. You also need to complete the form to be eligible, since that's how we randomly pick a winner and contact you. The information is only accessible to our team here at City Prepping. Using a random selection tool, we'll choose a winner from the entrance and reach out to you via the email that you provided on the submitted form. So, congrats to our last giveaway winner for the Solar Power Charger Bank, Bonnie Newport. We'll be reaching out to you shortly to get that sent to you. When you look at everything that's happening around us, political gridlock, rising costs, and even surprises from natural events, it's really easy to feel like the world is becoming more unpredictable by the week. But here's the truth that we sometimes forget. Uncertainty, it's not new. What is new is how interconnected our systems have become and how quickly disruptions really ripple into our daily lives. And that's why your efforts to prepare, whether big or small, they matter more than ever. Preparedness, it's not about pessimism. It's not about assuming the worst or waiting for something to break. It's about taking ownership of the things that you can influence, so you're not at the mercy of the things that you can't. We can't control whether lawmakers reach agreements on time. We can't stop prices from rising. We can't prevent solar storms or guarantee the stability of the grid. But we can build margin. We can create a buffer for our families. We can put systems in place that let us breathe easier when the world feels tense or uncertain. If anything, the past few months have really reminded us that resilience is built long before a problem shows up at your door. Every can of food stored, every dollar saved, every skill learned, it's all momentum in your favor. Preparedness, it really turns worry into action and action into confidence. So keep going. Don't be discouraged by the headlines. Use them as reminders of why you're doing this in the first place. You're not preparing out of fear. You're preparing so your home remains steady when everything else feels shaky. And that's something to be proud of. Simply put, preparedness, it gives you confidence. It really reduces fear and it increases your ability to help others. You can't control political instability. You can't control inflation. You cannot control or prevent solar storms. All of these are going to occur without our input and not on our schedules, but you can prepare your household so that disruptions are far less severe when they actually do happen. All right. If you're ready to take your preparedness seriously, I would encourage you to check out a couple of links I'm going to post here on the side of the screen to some videos, and I'll also post them down in the description and comment section below. The first is a simple 4-step plan for staying connected when everything else fails, and the second explores the potential for a grid collapse next year. Both will give you an understanding of what we'll face and what you can do today to prepare for our challenges in the future. As always, stay safe out there.